Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we are going to see why the Google Cloud Routes concept, which is one of the important concept in VPC, is discussed to some little extent only when anybody does any training. So even if you see some official trainings from the official sources, the concept of cloud routes are discuss very less, and only when you are discussing something in cloud VPN and all, to some extent people talk about it. Why is that compared to firewall rules? I have seen many videos on firewall rules, nice videos from Google's uh, Google Cloud Platform YouTube channel itself, the official YouTube channel from Google Cloud. But the routes is something which is not discussed heavily. Why is that? And people who have worked heavily on networking in GCP will know I have to have both firewall rules and the right routes. Only then the communication between two resources is going to happen. Communication between two VMs is going to happen. But why is that? Uh, Routes are not discussed in great details is what I wanted to discuss today. Let's jump in. All right, we are in our project. This project is little special. The reason is it does not have a VPC. So if it does not have a VPC, it cannot have a firewall rule. Basically, let's just verify it, and neither does it is going to have routes. So that's the stuff. Simple. So it does not have anything. It's a clean slate. Now, what I wanted to show is why basically the routes are not much discussed in detail. The reason is whenever you create a VPC, uh, the VPC is going to basically create a route automatically for you. When you create a subnetwork, it's going to create a local route automatically for you. So things are automatic there. That's the reason the emphasis is much less. So but when it comes to firewall rule, there is implicit firewall rule which you have to override. Only then you can basically SSH, RDP, ping anything. So that could be one of the main reasons why most of the trainings focus less on cloud routes. So let's see that in action, the one which I mentioned. So we have no network. So if I just see G Cloud compute instances, sorry, networks list, if I do, nothing is going to be there. So let me just authorize it. So you get basically zero network. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to split my screen. So I'm going to just type one more command, gcloud compute routes list. And again, it's going to show zero routes. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a small trick here. I'm going to do a watch command and make sure this command is refreshed every 2 seconds or so. By default, the watch command refreshes every 2 seconds. If you want something like much early, you can give a try, but if the command takes little longer time, it is going to take longer time. So I'm just trying to make it refresh every 1 second, but it is taking roughly around 2 seconds. You can see the clock there. It's taking 2 or 3 seconds to refresh. So it's basically like me going and clicking on this refresh button again and again. So now what I wanted to show is when you create a VPC, a empty VPC, and just for your information, an empty VPC is of no use. Only if you create a subnetwork, then you can create a virtual machine in that specific region, the region in which you create the subnetwork. So if there's no subnetwork, it is of no use basically. But uh, first you have to create a VPC. Inside that VPC is only you are going to create a subnetwork. So and if you see it in the user interface, basically the user interface does not allow you to create an empty VPC. So something like um, LGWM VPC, LGWM just basically learn GCP with Mahesh. It's a small acronym. So when I do it right, I am forced to create one subnetwork. So one subnetwork is minimum is a thing which you do it in the user interface. But I don't want to do this because I wanted to show you there's going to be a default route even if you have just the VPC. So how do I do that? So this is the step setup which we are going to do. So there's a watch command which is going on at the lower panel, basically showing how many routes are there. In my upper panel, I'm going to basically create a VPC compute networks create. So give a name of the network. So I'm going to call it as VPC LGWM the mode in which you want to basically create the auto. So auto mode and custom mode, and most of us would be knowing that auto mode is of not much use. It is only for quick onboarding. So it's preferred to have something which is custom. That's it, folks. So it's an empty, basically, it's basically an empty VPC. The moment I create this VPC, please focus on this lower portion of it. You will see the moment the VPC gets created, you will have a route automatically created. So let's wait, and I'm not pausing the video. I just wanted to allow for you to see that it is getting created. The moment it gets created, you see that the VPC is just creating, but behind the scene, a route is automatically created. And what is this route? This is basically the default internet gateway. So your VM, if it needs to communicate with the outside world, this route is going to play a major role. Now, if you want to verify the same thing, just come to your VPC firewall rules, routes. You should see a route here. Now, I don't have firewall rules. Only the implied firewall rules is going to be there. Now, if I click on my VPC, I have one VPC, but it has zero subnetwork, folks. So without a subnetwork, it is of no use. But if I just have a VPC, I still am going to have a route, which is basically the default route to internet. Now let's go ahead and try to create basically a subnetwork. So gcloud compute networks, subnetworks, create, and I'm going to call it basically something like subnet LG, or I'll put it in basically in Singapore SG. So I'll have the range something like I'll go with RFC 1918 standard class B, because many people don't use class B. So let's use this class B. This is the one, and the region basically needs to be which region. So you need to mention, because subnetworks are regional, so I'm going to mention this region as Singapore. You can mention whatever the region you want. So, and which network to which this subnetwork needs to belong to. So I'm going to mention it as GCP LGWM. The moment I create a new subnetwork, a new route is going to be created. So let's see that. So which is going to be used as local routes, which you cannot delete it. So let me hit enter. Hopefully the command is correct. I'm not using any cheat sheet. I'm just typing the command as on the fly. So let's see whether it is going to get created. Hopefully it should get created. Yes, it shows. Now you see a new route, folks. A new route created specifically for this, specifically for this data, for this subnetwork. So this is called as local routes. So to verify this, basically, if I go refresh my console, you see a second route which just got created. You saw that. And one importance of this route is, if I click on this and mouse over on this, local routes cannot be deleted. You can only delete a local route only when it is your subnetwork is deleted. When can you delete a subnetwork? When the subnetwork is, when you have not created any virtual machine in that subnetwork, then you can delete it. So the gist is, because the routes get automatically created, either the local routes or the default route to internet, these are automatically created, but firewall rules are not created automatically. The emphasis is always more towards creating firewall rules. Only then we can SSH, ICMP, or we can RDP into it. So this is what I felt. Why most of the trainings, most of the videos, they focus more on firewall rules rather than routes, because it is already default, it is already set, it is going, you don't need to do basically any action. But if you know something like this insights, it's going to help you understand your networking concept to a great extent if you are totally new to basically networking. So that's a video which I wanted to share today. Why cloud routes concepts are discussed in lesser detail, or not discussed much compared to firewall rules. So the reason is it is automatically created. Simple reason, but I showed you how it is automatically created. So hope the video is helpful. Thank you for watching.